Yesterday, we learned that we can summarize percents with the following formula. Part over whole is equal to the percentage over 100. Because remember, percent means a ratio per 100. Let's look at example 1. What is 40% of 20? Let's get in the habit of labeling what we know. I know that 40% is the percent, and because it says of 20 or out of 20, I know that 20 is the whole. So I can set up my fraction. I don't know the part, that's my missing information, but I know that the part over my whole, which is 20, is equal to 40%, or 40 out of 100. And now I simply have an equivalent fraction that I can use to find the part. 20 times 5 is equal to 100, and something times 5 equals 40. You might know off the top of your head that the part is 8, but you could also use division. 40 divided by 5 equals 8, so I know 8 times 5 is 40, and my final answer is 8. We can always check to make sure that 8 out of 20 is equal to 40% by dividing. 8 divided by 20 equals 0.4, which we know represents 40%, because as a decimal, we move our decimal space over, either 2 spaces to the right to move to percent, or 2 spaces to the left to move back to a decimal. So 0.4 is the same thing as 40%. You could prove that by multiplying 0.4 times 100 is equal to 40%. Now, at this point, your notes should match mine, so if you need to pause the video, go ahead and do that now. Example 2. 20 is 40% of what? The fact that this says of what tells me right away that we're going to be looking for the whole in this problem, because we're looking for 40% of something, a missing number. My part is 20, and I know 40 is my percent. So 40, or I can set it up like 20 over my missing whole, is equal to 40 over 100. And I simply have an equivalent fraction. I know that 20 times 2 equals 40, and something times 2 equals 100. Again, you might know off the top of your head what this number is, but you could always use division. 100 divided by 2 equals 50. And so 20 is 40% of 50. Again, we can check our answer using division. 20 out of 50 is 20 divided by 50, which equals 0.40, or 40%. So we know that we selected the correct whole of 50. I know I'm going quickly, so remember that you can pause at any point to catch up on notes, and even rewind so that you can watch this explanation again. Example 3. 20 is what percent of 40? Here, I know that 20 is my part and 40 is my whole. It is not because 40 is bigger than 20, but it's because it says percent of 40, which tells me 40 is my whole. 20 out of 40 is equal to some percent out of 100. Now, this question is a little bit tricky, and the reason is because 40 times a whole number doesn't equal 100. There are a few ways we can deal with this. One is we can just divide 100 divided by 40 to find out what that mystery number is. 100 divided by 40 is 2.5, so you know that 40 times 2.5 is 100, and you'll need to multiply 20 times 2.5, which gives you a final answer of 50%. Another way that you could have solved this is you could have simplified. 2 over 4 is equal to something over 100, and then you know that you're multiplying by 25. That's 2 strategies so far. 1 was finding the mystery number we're multiplying by, and 2 was simplifying our fraction. There's one more way you could solve this problem. You know that 20 out of 40 can be converted to a decimal by dividing 20 by 40, which equals 0.5. We can move from a decimal to a percent by multiplying times 100, which would also give us 50%. Again, I know I just showed 3 strategies very quickly, but remember, this is a video, so you can always pause, rewind, and rewatch. Your next step is to answer questions 1, 2, and 3 on the next page. You have the examples that I just showed you in this video to help you, so make sure that you're following the steps that I showed. Please pause this video now to complete 1, 2, and 3 under practice. Have you paused the video yet? I want to make sure that you try questions 1, 2, and 3 on your own. If you haven't tried them on your own yet, please do so now. In question 1, I know my percent is 30, and I know that my whole is 70, because it says of 70. I can set it up like this. I have some part that I don't know out of 70 that's equal to 30 over 100. Now, this is a little bit tricky because I don't have a whole number that I can obviously multiply 70 by to get 100. But what I can do is I can change 30 over 100 to 3 over 10. Something over 70 is equal to 3 over 10. Now I can see that 10 times 7 is 70, and 3 times 7 gives me my missing number of 21, which is my part. Remember, if you get stuck, you can also always use a double number line strategy, where you set up 70 as your whole, because 70 is 100%, and you work to find 30 by splitting up your number line into 10% pieces, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. You would simply have to split 70 into 10 groups because you're dividing it into 10 pieces, and so we'd be counting by sevens. Either strategy works. Question 2 says, what percent is 15 out of 60? I know I have a missing percent in this problem. 15 is my part, and 60 is my whole. 15 out of 60 equals something out of 100. Let's show this one using a double number line. If I set up my double number line, and I'll go ahead and put percent on bottom, I know that 100%, or my whole, is 60. I'm trying to find out what 15 is. And so I'm going to start by counting by 15s, 15, 30, 45, 60. I split it up by 15s because I know that I'm looking for 15 out of 60, and I can evenly count by 15 to get to 60. Now, I know that I'm splitting up 100 into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal groups. So I'll divide 100 by 4 to count by 25%. And I can see on my number line that 15 is 25%. Of course, you also could have solved this using the fraction. You would have wanted to simplify 15 over 60 to 1 over 4. It's just a little bit easier to see that way. We divided 15 by 15 to get 1, and 60 by 15 to get 4. And I know that 4 times 25 is 100, and 1 times 25 is 25. Either way, our final answer is 25%. Question 3 says 4 is 10% of what? Since it says of what, we know that we're looking for the whole. 4 out of something is equal to 10 out of 100. So, in order to figure out what I'm multiplying, I'm simply going to divide 10 by 4, which gives me 2.5. I can multiply 4 by 2.5 to get 10, and something times 2.5 will give me 100. I can use division again to find this missing number here. 100 divided by 2.5 is equal to 40. And that's my missing number. Once again, you could have used a double number line here. It just would have taken a little bit longer because we would have needed to count up 10%. We're looking for the whole, which is 100%. You know that 10% is 4, so you just would have needed to keep counting up by 4s and 10%. But either way, your final answer would be 40. If at this point in the video you have any questions remaining, please raise your hand to check in with Ms. Kness.